Hey there guys, how are you? So the movie Die Hard, I meant Skyscraper, came out last week, and ever since watching this film, I've been trying to muster up the energy and the motivation to review this movie. And I don't think I have it. So for this video, I'm going to switch things up and give you guys a sneak peek at my podcast, which is exclusively on Patreon. And very quickly, before I unleash a 10-minute rant about why this film isn't that great of a movie, the podcast is co-hosted by fellow YouTuber Chris Stuckman. We make a bi-weekly podcast where we talk about movies, life, and much more. It's a good time. It's very therapeutic, and it's one of my favorite things to do nowadays. It's just fun to unleash your random thoughts about movies, life, and it's almost a cathartic experience. Now, this podcast is one of many perks on my Patreon, and the reason I have a Patreon is, well, YouTube is hit or miss. And by hit or miss, I mean they pretty much demonetize every single video that I upload. I guess it's part of life. But no worries, I'm not going anywhere. I won't stop making YouTube videos. I simply started a Patreon where I put bonus content, podcasts, special Q&A videos. It's a fun time. I really enjoy it. So far, a lot of people have joined me on there, and I appreciate the support more than you could ever imagine. And even if you don't want to join me on Patreon, that's fine. That's okay. Just keep watching my videos. I'm not going anywhere. Because I'll be honest with you, I'll keep it real. I don't have any friends. You guys are my only friends. For the last 8 years of making YouTube videos, you guys have almost been an emotional support system for me, and it does mean a lot. So anyway, guys, I wanted to just give you guys a quick glimpse at the podcast. It's a sneak peek. It's one segment of a huge podcast. I hope you enjoy our rant, our discussion about the movie Skyscraper. It's a good time, and if you guys want to check out my Patreon, link down below. If not, no hard feelings. Just please keep watching my videos. It's more than I could ever ask for.
Come with me if you want to live.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
All right, so now is the time, Chris, where we are just going to completely lose our shit, and I might need more caffeine, but we're going to talk about one of the most generic, boring, bloated, expensive movies that I don't know how it got made other than The Rock being attached to it. It's a little movie called Skyscraper, but we've already had this movie, and it was called Die Hard. And then before that, we already had another movie called The Towering Inferno. But now we have Skyscraper, starring The Rock.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I haven't filmed my review yet as of talking about this on your podcast, so there's a lot I want to say in my review, and I'm still sort of processing everything, but this movie was legitimately one of the most derivative films I've ever seen. It borrows from everything. I can't really think of an original moment or original concept in this entire film. The closest could be maybe the set that's the finale sequence, they're in this weird CGI set that looked fake as fuck, but
Which took you right out of the movie and was boring.
Yeah, this movie was artificial. Everything about it just seemed like it wasn't real. I never once felt like I was on the edge of my seat. The character is Dwayne Johnson. It plays father guy.
That's
him.
Who's an ex-Navy SEAL who...
Yeah.
It was... Everything in this movie has been done in another movie, but better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the B-rate version of all those events put together for this movie. It cost $120 million to make. Why?
I have no idea, man. I mean, when I look at that, it honestly insults me. And I feel like people are going to give this movie a pass or say it's fine or turn your brain off.
It's a big, dumb action movie, and you should like it.
Just like The Rampage, which you said after the movie last night, you were like, nobody talks about Rampage. That was 3 months ago or something. Everyone forgot about it. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be the same with this.
And the same goes for his other movie, Jumanji. He's making products. He's not making movies.
Yeah. He's just making movies to please the masses, really.
But they're almost quick cash grab movies that they come out for a weekend, they make a few dollars, and then they go to the red box and they earn a few more dollars. But these movies will not transcend time. No one will watch these 5 years from now. There's better movies in every category, especially with action.
Oh my God. I mean, This film is just every scene. I just kept thinking, like you said, I've seen this better somewhere else. I've seen this done better somewhere else. I've seen better characters other places, and it just feels like you can see the calculated efforts to make everything perfectly acceptable.
Yes, this movie will not offend anyone. We have to make it as this movie almost felt PG.
Almost, yeah.
It could have been, and we were watching the movie, and there's a few action sequences in this movie where they choreographed a few cool stunts, especially one with The Rock in this kitchen with a steak knife. Mm-hmm. And I thought if this movie could have been rated R, and The Rock could have stabbed that guy in the side of the head. Okay, you know what? This movie had a purpose. It's like gritty and rated R, and it's fun. It reminds me of like 1980s action movies.
But it's like he doesn't want to do that anymore because he has too many kids fans.
Well, he literally beats up the guy, and then he's like, "Are you okay, buddy? I'll get help. I'll get help for you." The guy just tried to kill him, and he's trying now to be his friend again.
I really do think it's because, he's made rated R movies before. Wasn't Faster rated R?
I believe it was.
I'm
yeah.
Double check, but I feel like he has too many fans that are kids or something, and he doesn't want to offend anybody.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The Rock's made a few good action movies. The Rundown.
Yeah.
But The Rock needs to make a movie that people will talk about. He needs to make his Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
He really does.
He's just playing the same generic guy in every movie that wears the same T-shirt. And what is the difference between his character in this movie and his character in Jumanji, other than he was an ape expert? Or no, in Rampage, he was the ape expert. I'm sorry. Maybe he was an ape expert in Jumanji too. I'm not quite sure. Does it really matter? I don't know. But the plot to this movie, if you want to have a big dumb action movie, fine. Mm-hmm. But now you don't need the convoluted plot for your big dumb action movie.
No.
And that's what the plot in this movie doesn't even make sense.
It really doesn't. When it ended, I looked over at you and I was like, if you asked me to sum up their plan, I don't think I could do it.
To retrieve a MacGuffin, a device in this movie that does not matter, it's never truly explained.
No.
And it has no purpose.
No. And by the way, he has had some rated R's. Faster was rated R.
Okay.
Some random movie called Empire State that I think went straight to VOD or DVD, maybe a few theaters. Pain and Gain was one. And then Baywatch. So I feel like, you think he's just looking at those and like, oh, all my rated R movies didn't do too well. I'm just going to make a bunch of PG-13 sloppy movies.
That could be, but if he just made a good rated R movie besides Pain and Gain or fucking Baywatch, they might do better, which were two awful movies. But the truth be told, I would rather watch Pain and Gain over this movie any day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it felt more like a film, even though I didn't really like it that much. At least it took some risks.
Yeah, at least it had Mark Wahlberg getting a bicep pump.
That was funny. That was funny. It was in the trailer, but the film had some offensive moments and it took risks and everything. So at least it was like a chance.
It's still a Michael Bay shitfest.
Yeah. But with this movie, it just feels like a generic shot on shit green screen fuckery.
Well, the whole plot, man, there's this huge skyscraper, and to get their insurance policy accepted, The Rock, who's a security expert, needs to approve it, and now the insurance company will approve this building opening. It was stupid, to say the least. I mean, a security expert is what this movie hinges on. Not an engineer or an architect to say that the building is safe and structurally sound. No, a security expert to say that it's safe. Just one guy.
Even when a film like this, when your action sequences are even not memorable, I mean, you failed.
Boring to watch.
Just bland.
Subtleties are dead.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Neve Campbell has a little girl or a little boy on her back, and she's walking over a 2x4, 50 feet over flames. Things are exploding. Mm-hmm. She falls off the 2x4. Keep in mind, during this, The Rock is holding up a bridge. Like, what the hell? And she falls off the 2x4. grabs onto it with her fingertips with a little kid on her back, pulls herself up again, and keeps walking across it. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It almost gets to the point where you don't care. And
Again, unbelievable. You know, you don't buy into it.
Let's compare it to a movie, and I think it's only fair because it's so similar. Die Hard.
Yeah.
That movie had characters that were charismatic, real life action, practical effects, and just the small subtleties in that movie with Bruce Willis crawling through ventilation shafts, talking to himself. That was riveting.
Yeah.
You don't need to blow up everything in front of a green screen.
We are sorely missing John McTiernan action films, and I wish he would make another one. Like, all of his action films, for the most part, except for like Rollerball.
Jesus,
you know, like his 80s and 90s action films are amazing, and it's almost like directors either don't care because of insurance, or they literally don't know how to make an action movie anymore. Like,
I think it's
are you
both?
Yeah, are you afraid to harm anybody? Like, I don't know. Like, that's one of the reasons why I almost want to make a video called the Mission Impossible franchise is like the best action franchise of all time, and just make a video all about that, because like there's 6 of them now. Granted, I haven't seen the 6th one yet, but apparently it's good, according to what other people are saying.
Yeah, it's like a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The second one, okay, but like all the rest are really great action movies.
Sure.
And even the Die Hard franchise has Die Hard 5, which is just complete ass. Way worse than Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
Way worse. And I think Mission Impossible 4 and 5, and I haven't seen 6 yet, but possibly are better than Die Hard 4. And Die Hard 2.
I would agree.
So like, it's amazing. And you need to have more films like that where you get like a star who actually does things that the hero does, and you can show it happening. Like, The Rock is charismatic and he's great, but I mean,
not in this movie.
Not so much.
And that's
no.
the script's fault.
Yeah, and the director is the same guy who wrote the script. It's the director-writer combo. It's the guy who made Dodgeball.
Yeah, it is Dodgeball and Easy A and some other forgettable comedy movies. That's who you want to direct your $120 million action set piece.
I don't get it, man.
And the thing is, with all the movies you just mentioned, the McTiernan movies, those movies had that grit to them, that depth.
Because they were shot with real things happening.
Yeah.
He made a film where in the camera it looked good on set already. Before putting it through any other post-processing. Any other thing. Like, on set, his movie already looked good.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one last thing I wanted to mention about this abomination against humanity was, let's talk about movies from the 80s, Die Hard, Predator. What do those movies have that's the counterbalance to the hero?
A villain.
A good villain. Yeah. Somebody to like act off of or, have a confrontation with. Skyscraper doesn't really have a clear-cut villain. It has a mercenary group that are just generic henchmen working for somebody that's sort of he never really has the showdown. He's not really a clear-cut villain whatsoever.
The most it has is sort of the leader of the mercenaries who shows up every once in a while to say some really evil stuff, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other people that kind of filter out of the shadows every once in a while, and you discover they have some sort of plan, but like there's nothing memorable. I mean, literally nothing memorable about this movie. The best part of the film was possibly the opening scene, because it was far more like sad than I expected it to be, and I hadn't seen the rest of the movie yet.
It had tension.
There's really nothing about the film that I'm ever going to remember, except for the fact that I left and I talked about it with you for 20 minutes about how bland it was.
And The Rock has a prosthetic leg.
That's true. That's the other thing. I feel like that's, what would happen? I would bet money on this. I would bet money that someone went into a studio and said, I want to make an action movie with a hero with a prosthetic leg, and he has to climb around a skyscraper when it's on fire. But the pitch, the hook is that he's got the prosthetic leg, and that makes it hard. And, that's my pitch. and someone went, yeah, let's get The Rock and $125 million, and it all just came together. Like, this is a pitch movie.
Yeah, it's like...
This is a pitch.
Have you seen Die Hard? Yes. We can do another one of those, but not call it Die Hard.
That's exactly what someone said.
Yeah.
Because what studios look for when you pitch something is they want a bunch of movies that they can compare your idea to. So you watch this movie and you're like, well, it's Die Hard combined with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol combined with, Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Oh my God. She tastes like cigarettes. And you know what I was thinking? I told you this halfway through the movie, but the one character who plays Chin Han or something, I don't know. He was also in The Dark Knight. His name's Zhao Longli. I can't remember his name exactly.
Okay.
But he is sort of the manager in charge of this large technology-driven skyscraper.
He's good with calculation.
He is. Yes. And he's held up in a skyscraper throughout the majority of the movie. And I kept thinking to the scene in The Dark Knight where Batman breaks into the skyscraper and straps him, and then they take off with the skyhook.
Yeah.
I was thinking that would resolve everything in this movie. We don't need The Rock. We need Batman. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. The skyscraper sucks.
It's bad.
Okay, so that was our discussion video from my podcast, Flick Everything, which is on Patreon once again. And as far as this film goes, I'm going to give the movie Skyscraper. I love The Rock. I wanted to like this movie, but there was just no artistic motivation behind making this movie. It had no purpose for existing. I hope you guys enjoyed the sneak peek of the podcast. Please leave your thoughts, your opinions down below in the comment section. What did you think about this film? Or what is your favorite movie with The Rock in it? If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with The Rundown. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. That way, I can see you next time.